Good afternoon, everyone. Chris Berryman here, coalition builder and founder of Bring Humanity Together. Welcome to another wonderful Wednesday edition of Conversations for Humanity here on LinkedIn, Facebook, and now on YouTube. And we're so humbled and honored to be with you guys here today on this wonderful Wednesday. It's another great day to be alive and another gift, not only to receive, but to give as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have some sad news I have to share with you guys right off the bat. Our guest that was supposed to be on here today had a last minute out of town thing come up. So he is out of town. So hopefully we'll get our guest back on and we're going to reschedule his sharing of his story here on Conversations for Humanity at a later time. I just messaged him a little bit ago and just said, hey, I'm ready when you are ready and that kind of thing. And evidently things have been going on in his neck of the woods. And he said, I'm right now on the road and everything like that. He couldn't really tell me too much into it, but like I said, hopefully everything's going fine with him and everything like that. But like I said, our guest that was supposed to be scheduled for today, like I said, had a last minute thing and things happen and that's okay. So we'll make the best of it one way or the other. So again, welcome everyone to the Bring Humanity Together live stream. This is one of three open forums under the Bring Humanity Together umbrella where people can discuss topics related to the workplace and humanity in the workplace in a very positive and constructive way. We want to know what the issues are out there that are facing people today because it's our goal, our mission, our passion, our purpose, and I dare say our calling here at Bring Humanity Together to create environments that people will love, not only in those workplaces, but also in our very communities because we are dead set on really recognizing that the very same community that you live in is the same one that you work in, and it's already there. And also, when it comes to employers and employees, we will also want to really be focused on that too as well because they're the backbone of a lot of businesses today anyways because without those leaders in our organizations today and also in concert without those very people who are those partners inside those organizations and those team leaders and people who are running those great things, we really want to be so understanding and aware of how we can get them to be not only in a place that's far bigger and significant and really of inspiration of themselves, but also again create that environment with them to such a degree that way maybe it's not the one that not only that they can love, but might even turn into the life that they love if we allow that to occur. So as always, we'll be going live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, all at 2:45 Eastern Standard Time. And remember, we have our community calls booked in at the beginning and the ending of the week. So Mondays we have our Google Meet call at 3 o'clock, and then also we have our LinkedIn audio call also at 3 o'clock. So if you would like to join us, please don't hesitate to message me, and we'll send you the details onto that too as well. And the way I usually do the community call for LinkedIn, what I usually do is on Wednesdays, I'll put out that invitation to everybody, and you'll get that notified via LinkedIn and everything. So uh, we would love for you to be a part of that conversation too as well. So, like I said, we're just so humble and an honor to be with each and every single one of you today. Like I said, we're going to make the best of it anyways. So no worries. We will end up having a great and engaging conversation nonetheless and everything. So just like I said, sit back and relax and everything like that. And like I said, we'll bring uh, things to the table that's going to really uplift and inspire and maybe throw a little curiosity into the mix and everything. So we are just so humbled and honored that we can do that and everything like that. And here is my great friend Kimberly Lechnick. Hello, Kimberly.
Hi, Chris. How are you today?
Oh, I am doing great on this wonderful Wednesday. How about you?
I am doing great as well. It's good to be here with you.
Yes, yes. And I think we really should talk about that video that you even made a comment on. Did you not?
I did. That was a great TEDx. That was a great TEDx. And for me, when I think about that TEDx, what comes up for me is all about collaboration. And it reminds us that we can't do things alone. And I love what she had mentioned about holding on to the vision.
Exactly. And see, I was scrolling through YouTube early this morning, and I was thinking to myself, my gosh, this really might could be a starter for somebody, and really not only conversation starter, but is really rooted into, of course, the five pillars of bringing humanity together about leaderships, human development, health and wellness, family and community. But when it goes down to about the collaboration factor, like you mentioned in our chat room this morning, I just got to thinking she said it. It's about collaborating. And I just, oh my gosh, I was like, I gotta share this with people. So that's why I shared it with you guys. But you know what? It when you really think about it, at the end of her talk, and we probably might even play the video here in just a little bit to get more people context into that. Uh, she even at the end of her talks, it almost got into the realm of who she was from being in that place because she was originally based in North Dakota, I believe it was.
Mhm.
And I believe one of her endings, she said something, I forget the exact wording of it, but she literally put her hands together in prayer and then bowed to the audience. And I was like, that's kind of rooted in spirituality, is it not?
Yeah, I think that at least what I gleaned from it is that she was just an ordinary person. And for me, it also connects me to the importance of purpose, right? So she was just
Right.
an everyday person that was like, I don't know, but really that's how purpose kind of comes into play. Um, is we are living our lives and then we want to make an impact, and we all have a purpose. And so I don't know, Chris, but that's what came up for me when I watched the the call, and or the TEDx, excuse me. And for me, it is rooted in spirituality for me. I don't know, I can't speak to the speaker, but it definitely is for me.
Yeah, and once what she was talking about was building a DIY kind of community. And I believe that's what we should talk about today is how do we build out those communities that is of the DIY kind of dynamic and dichotomy, because yes, it's just like I share a lot of times on these broadcasts. I recognize the fact that there's going to be the people who are the fishermen, the people who are the builders, the people who are going to be the truck drivers delivering the stuff, the people who's going to cook the food in the restaurants, the people who's going to stock the store shelves at the grocery store, and those groceries are going to be there. But when you think about it, and like I said, we'll play the video here shortly, and everything. When she was talking about she was no better or worse than anybody else.
Hmm.
That she was just like you said, just an ordinary person. And she even alluded to a gentleman that was so passion driven about what he was doing. What he was doing was so good that he even said to the people around him, he's like, I don't even care if I even get arrested for this.
Right, right. I don't remember, I'm not, that's not a piece that I connected
You
with.
will see it here in a minute. You will see it here, but like I said, that's what caught my eye because she mentioned him and what he was doing, and that was the thing that really just spoke to me. Is like if something is so passion driven for you that you know it's the right thing to do, and you're even willing to go to jail for it, so to speak. Oh my God! I mean that speaks to conviction. That speaks to awareness of what the community really is looking for him to do. And then, like I said, I just truly believe when we are getting into those places in our communities that really do have that need for something, and of course, it's being built around the people within the community. It's just not like the government's coming in and saying, "Oh, you must do this and you must do that," and that kind of thing. For many years, communities have saw a need in something, and someone has stepped up and said, "This is what I am going to do. This is what we're going to do." And then next thing you know, everyone has a hand to be pitching in and of itself. Uh, and like I said, when I was scrolling YouTube this morning and saw this, I was like, you know what? We definitely at some point going to have to talk about this. I originally was going to have our speaker today, but like I said, I messaged him earlier today to find out if he was going to be able to share his story on Conversations for Humanity, and evidently he's out of town with some personal business. He didn't give me the details, but I said I totally understand. We'll just reschedule and everything like that. So I think this will be a perfect opportune time, Kimberly, to really bring this to the table, because I just truly believe once we see how our communities are really interconnected, not only at the organizational level, but down deep at the community level, I just truly believe the next thing you know, those communities will really be more interconnected like we never probably had them connected before, because again, we're allowing that to occur. And by doing that, I just truly believe here's a unique time in our history, so to speak, that we can build out those communities in the way that we want it to be done, not about what someone else tells us it should be done, or like I said, what a government should tell us to do. We are the ultimate arbiters and directors and authors of our not only our stories and what we believe in and what we do, but also from a community dynamic. We can be those same authors, same directors, same storytellers of this is how this community has gone and being built up. I mean, it's just like when you think about it, when you hear a catchphrase like the city of brotherly love, what do you think about? Think about Philadelphia. When you think about the city that never sleeps, what do you think about? You think about the Big Apple. And then when you think about when you hear Tinseltown, what do you think of? You think of Hollywood. There are those things that have made those communities about who they are, because some of those people in those communities have put their stamp on it in one way, shape, or form, not only from a singular collective kind of dynamic that it really said, hey, I'm going to take this stand and I want to build out this community in the way that I believe it can be done. But their passion and their purpose and their vision for it has actually jumped over to other people to such an extent they see what they see, and then others will see what they see, and then they can all see what they should all see. What's your take on that, Kimberly?
Well, what I heard you say, Chris, is, you were talking a little bit about taglines. I think, for the community. Yeah, community building is really important. And I think that diving into this TEDx is going to be, yeah, it's pretty important.
Oh, it is pretty important. And like I said, here is that video. Like I said, I just found, and like I said, I watched it this morning before I went into work, and I said to myself, you know what? This is something truly amazing. So I give credit to TEDx for putting this out there and everything like that. And more importantly, I even give credit to Heidi Dumars, who actually brought it to even the TEDx to even talk about it. Because, like I said, she has a great take onto this. And I truly believe everyone should have an opportunity to watch this video, take it in, understand it to the best of their ability, have it be rooted in conversations of curiosity when you think about it, and just let that be for what it is. And so I'm going to put the links in here for people to go watch it at a later time, because like I said, it is going to be done on our Facebook page and also our LinkedIn page. So I'm copying it that so people can watch that later and everything. So I just really just love this opportunity that we can not only see, and when you think about it, this is another video that I'm thinking of too as well, that we probably might even dive into as well. That's from Melissa Miranda. I have to get to the archives and pull that one out, and we'll maybe even discuss that and see how that's interconnected, because I just truly believe that there's just so much opportunity here for this. So, but like I said, let's go into this first video, and like I said, take a look at it, talk about it on the other side, and see what shows up for us when we actually see this together, and what do we can bring to the table in and of itself, from a not only community dynamic but also from a human one-on-one individual dynamic. So here is the DIY community building, leading with authenticity and heart and hustle, by the great Heidi Demars. Like I said, this was done in a TEDx in 2016 in North Dakota. So here is her take on DIY community building. And like I said, credit goes to TEDx, and more importantly, to Heidi Demars for even bringing this to the table. So here is Heidi Demars.
So the do-it-yourself movement is huge right now. From home improvement to fashion, one look at Pinterest and you'll see that this trend is here to stay. DIY is defined as the method of building, repairing, or modifying something without the direct aid of experts or professionals. But what if we took this concept and we applied it to our communities? What would that look like? I moved to Bismarck from Grand Forks 5 years ago and learned immediately that you will find what you're looking for. I remember calling a friend in Denver and complaining that there wasn't curbside recycling, they didn't have a food co-op. I thought the art and music scene was lacking a little bit. And she said, well, Heidi, if anybody's going to change it, it's going to be you. And that sounded exhausting to me, right? That sounded like a lot of work. But what I realized is I was finding exactly what I was looking for. Instead of looking for the right with this new community, I was looking for all of the wrong. Then something shifted. I started dreaming a little bit. I met some incredible people and started talking to them and found that they shared a similar vision. I found my tribe and we got to work. You see, DIY isn't necessarily about doing it yourself, but it's about finding those people who can offer some skills or expertise and help you along the way. So I just had to hold the vision and trust the process. I'd always been pretty health conscious and loved supporting my local food co-op here in Grand Forks as much as possible. I knew the positive impact that it could have on the local economy, the small farmers in the region, and the health of my family as a whole. So I set out with this awesome group of people from Bismarck to create a food co-op there. Had I ever started a food co-op before? Absolutely not. Had I ever started any business before? No. Did I know how I was going to go about working with these people to make it a reality? No, I really didn't. But that didn't matter, you see, because I showed up. I showed up to do the work, and I found these incredible people to do it with me, and that's all that mattered. The first lesson I learned in this process was to trust yourself. On December 1st, 1955, Rosa Parks changed the course of history with one word: no. Her action was spontaneous and not premeditated, and she later remarked, when I made that decision that day, I knew I had the strength of my ancestors behind me. That sentence gives me chills. What if more of us looked at life that way, with the powerful, grounded conviction that we had the strength of our ancestors with us, of all of the groundwork that has already been laid out before us, and to trust that a path will unfold? Better yet, what if we worked so diligently towards something better that would benefit future generations, leaving things a little bit better than we found them? Trusting that process was a necessary step to making this vision a reality. The second lesson I learned in this process was to do it yourself. Not alone, of course, but not waiting for a perfect set of circumstances to act and to do something. To stop wishing and to start doing. Jason Roberts is an IT consultant and bike advocate living in the historic neighborhood of Oak Cliff, Dallas. He wanted to take a more active approach to revitalizing his neighborhood. And in 2010, Jason started the Build a Better Block project. He envisioned the transformation of a 4-block center in downtown Dallas, using very little money, zero permanent infrastructure, and lots of creativity. They created temporary awnings, bike lanes, cafe tables, and made medians out of potted plants. They were local artists and food vendors to sell their goods inside and outside of abandoned storefronts. Knowing that the project could easily be shut down due to city regulations, they went rogue and threw caution to the wind. He said, "We broke as many laws as possible. We were ready to go to jail for this." And no one even really questions you when you put on an orange construction vest. I love it. You see, the beauty of the Better Block project was that it altered the perception of what people thought was actually possible in that community. It showed them what could be changed through creativity and determination. With the food co-op, we had a very limited marketing budget. We needed to reach a lot of people in a very short period of time. So we knew we had to be creative. As you can see there, that's one of our tomato bombs, and it's incredible what you can accomplish with some pickle buckets, some soil donated from a local farm, and tomatoes donated from a local nursery. We placed a sign within each tomato bomb that read, "Hi, I'm a tomato plant. You may see some of my siblings around town. We're here to spread the word about a local food co-op taking root in our community. If you see me, please water me, care for me, and watch me grow. And when my tomatoes are ready, enjoy them." We place them strategically around town at local businesses, popular restaurants, outside of TV stations, the governor's mansion, and downtown where we had extensive foot traffic. And suddenly, the buzz had been created. We started receiving calls from the local media, memberships started rolling in, and people were posting pictures online of these tomato bombs that they had found outside the door, or of their doors. But ultimately, this was a test of community. Would people nurture this project like they would nurture these tomato plants? Because this was a community-owned co-op, right? It didn't belong to me or a board of directors. It was a cooperative-owned business that belonged to the members in the community. In order for our work to truly be authentic, we need to be ourselves. I was in a visioning session once when a woman slid me a piece of paper, and on it, it said, "You could get funded for some of this community work," with a website scrolled underneath. So I went to that website later that night and read in big, bold letters, "Selecting leaders with creative solutions to tough community problems." And I immediately clicked away. A leader, I thought? That wasn't me. Growing up, a young girl in North Dakota, a leader was some guy in a suit. That wasn't me. But as I thought about the hundreds of hours that had already been poured into this project, I went back to that website the next day and applied for the 2-year fellowship. I got a letter about a week later saying they were going to fly me to Minneapolis for a 4-hour interview. 4 hours. It's crazy. But I accepted because we must say yes to those things that scare us the most. So there I was in a hotel room in downtown St. Paul, leadership books spread across the bed because I was freaking out, right? Nervous. I got to read up on leadership. But I realized that nothing in any of those books would prepare me for what I already had inside me. Right? Sometimes leadership is just showing up and doing the work. In that moment, I turned on the radio to relax a little bit, and David Bowie's Just Dance came on, right? Like he was speaking to me at that moment. So I pushed those leadership books aside and I danced. I chose to dance in that moment and not cram like a nerd for some test that didn't even exist because I recognized it was already within me. David Bowie, as you know, just died last month. And he was always marching to the beat of his own drum. He was called so many things, but one thing he never was sorry, right? He was never apologetic for being himself. And neither was I. So I went into that interview the next day and was completely myself. I chose to be me instead of somebody who I thought they might want me to be. To me, DIY community building means being grounded enough in who you are and what you care about so that your ideas can take flight. It's not about having all of the answers, but finding those who can help you along the way. And it's not waiting for a perfect set of circumstances to act. It's about rolling up our sleeves and getting messy. Will you fail? Maybe. You might fall flat on your face, but what if you don't? What if you surprise yourself and you experience a tremendous success? That success, that is the ammo for the next do-it-yourself project. So let's work towards creating the kind of communities that we want to live in and be proud of. Let's say yes to those things that scare us a little bit. So today I'd like to leave you the way I leave each one of my children's yoga classes. You are enough. Everything you need is inside of you. You are a bright light, and the bright light in me bows to the bright light in you. Namaste. Thank you.
So, what do you think about that, Kimberly?
Well, actually, I was able to dig a little bit deeper listening to it the second time. So I really love what her mission is and, was around building communities, better communities, taking a look at the community, seeing where there's a need, and then filling it, and moving forward because taking action is so important. So that is only one small piece of what I gleaned from that the second time.
And now she got some inspiration from those great people, and one of them was Rosa Parks, and that other one is that guy who was on that bike. And what did he wanted to do? He wanted to build up
A better block.
building a better block. And you know what he said? I'll be willing to go to jail for it. And she even said, hey, wouldn't that be nice that we can break the laws and that kind of thing? But they did it.
Mm-hmm.
And they were able to do that. And what I loved of what she said there in about the thing that she wanted to do in her own community about the co-op farm that she wanted to have in collaboration, that she even said there's like, I'm a tomato, whatever, and that kind of thing. But she said, feed me, water me, pick me when I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking to myself, oh my word.
Now what's coming up for you in that moment, Chris? That's interesting.
Well, it's showing up to me as when I hear that and when I saw it being placed, and she even said she put it in the governor's mansion, she put it in newsrooms, she put it in bus stations and all that kind of stuff. I'm thinking to myself, this lady is really determined to let people know that the community is wanting to give the community something back, but the community is driving this.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why they're driving it, because like you said, they saw that need. And like I said, when she said about feed me, water me, and then pick me when I'm ready, I'm thinking to myself, this is what's going to end up happening. I see this might be, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a farm collaboration. It can literally be anything. But when somebody sees that, you know what drives me to say? That creates a sense of call to action, saying, hey, I'm not only going to feed you and nurture you and pick you when you're ready. Think about it when we do that, maybe even with people that says, I am here. I am ready. When you need me, come see me.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that's what it's there for.
That's interesting, Chris, because for me, what I heard her doing is she had a project. She was just an ordinary person, and she wanted to get the community's buy-in. And so, how did she want to do that? She did it by placing those plants, those tomato plants, strategically around the community. Why? Because she wanted to see how much buy-in she could get from the community. And I thought that was a really, really savvy business strategy in developing community. It was a great way to test the waters and see if people were going to plant that, post those pictures, do what she was hoping they would do so she could build a community around this co-op that she wanted to build. So that was really good.
And I see we have our awesome friend and mentor and our health and wellness great, I won't say guru, but she just loves, she's just a lover of health and wellness. How about that? Carla Fedigan's here. Hello, Carla.
Hey, Chris, I couldn't get the button to turn on. Sorry I'm late. I was at my dad's. I got the last few minutes of the conversation, and what I loved is I tell this to people all the time that are, especially young people, that get all worked up about an interview, and they feel like they're studying for an exam, and I'm like, be you, they're finding out about you. You need to find out about them. It's not one-sided that they're going to see if you're a good fit. You have the right to question them and find out if what their organization has to offer and whether it's a good fit for you. So I really like that she said to herself that she's enough. She's got what it takes. She doesn't need to be cramming for an interview, and actually went out and did something fun. She went out and danced. It reminds me of when I was in nursing school, and we were going down to the Macon Coliseum back in the day, where you had to bubble in your test, and it was like a 2-day exam, And I'm like, I went out to dinner the night before. I said, look, if I don't know it by now, if I don't know the basics and I don't know the common sense to answer the questions, I have no right to be sitting here as a nurse. It's going to happen or it's not. But I'm not going to cram all night long to be enough for this exam. You got to have that inner confidence that you can do it.
So the question becomes, Carla, and like I said, I highly encourage you to watch this video, because like I said, when Kimberly watched it, she just said it was all about collaboration. But I have to ask you this, though. What Heidi DeMars is in the video talking about, literally, it's about DIY community building, leading with authenticity, heart, and hustle. Can we do that in our communities, Carla?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see why you can't. If you want to, you do it. If you don't, you don't. Yeah, we need to do that.
So when it comes to leading with authenticity and heart, and maybe even a little hustle, maybe intermixed with a little curiosity, how can we build out those communities that not only sees a need, but also embraces that need? And they said in the video, people will be even willing to go to jail for it, to do it, because they see that need. And granted, I know that there's some things that we have to do in life. It's like, you don't want to end up going down the highway at 90 miles an hour because just because you can doesn't necessarily mean it's the right thing to do. But maybe when we actually have these needs that's in our communities, whether to be about placing those tomato plants in a certain area and letting people know about a co-op kind of community-driven farm kind of dynamic. But like I was telling Kimberly earlier, when you think about it, when she did those tomato plants, what really rung for me so true, though, Carla, is when you think about it, when she said in the video, it's like, feed me, water me, pick me when I'm ready. And when I was thinking about that, when she said that in the video, I'm thinking to myself, that could be people. Because when we nurture people to such an extent that where we're feeding them knowledge, feeding them insights, feeding them authenticity, feeding them with heart, and feeding them with maybe a little hustle and curiosity all mixed in, maybe they might raise their hand and say, "I'm ready." Can that?
It goes back to our conversation yesterday about teamwork. As a team leader, you should be nurturing your people and helping them grow.
Exactly. And so when I saw that, you're absolutely right. It is about teamwork. But Kimberly, I want to go to you on this. You've lived in the outskirts of Chicago for many years now.
Mm-hmm.
What is the one community-led driven project that you know of that has really still, not only still to this very day, has been around, but stood the test of time and saying, we did this and this is what we built?
That's a real hard one because I think that there's so many. So I can't speak to one specifically, but what I can speak to is this idea of purpose, Chris. I mean, it really came up. It really came up in this conversation today. It really came up, and Heidi demonstrated that. So I want to point out a few things. One is it started with that little spark. So if you listen to the very beginning, she was having these thoughts of things that she'd like to see in her community. And then her friend validated her by saying, if there's anyone that could do it, you're going to be the one who could do it. Mm-hmm. So then she stepped out in action. And I think this is also a really important lesson for all of us that are building communities. She stepped out in action, but did she chase the people? She did not chase the people. She attracted the people. So people were just already attracted to her idea. So they were attracted to her idea. And then what happens next is in that community that she started to build, there were skills, there were expertise, there was a lot of different things that many of the different community members were bringing to the table. So when we're building community, a lot of times as leaders, we think it's a great idea. That really, at the end of the day, doesn't really matter. What really matters is that we show up with the idea and we're going to be magnets. We're going to be magnets and we're going to attract those who are really resonating with what we're trying to create. So that's what stood out for me as, people are exploring the different ways that they too, that's why awareness is so key, I feel, because when we're building ourselves, right, we're building foundations for ourselves and building ourselves strong and rooted, we can really take time to listen. That's why I feel, Chris, these conversations are really, really key, because these kinds of conversations can really help us develop the awareness and peel back those layers so we can connect to our purpose.
What comes up to me as you're sharing there, Kimberly, it's about recognizing this. You're planting the seed.
Yes.
And when you plant that seed and you nurture it, you water it, she even said it in a video, watch me grow and then pick me when I'm ready. It's about not only understanding the awareness factor of it, not only the opportunity of it, and also maybe the exponential impact of it, but when you plant that seed into that very community, it's almost about recognizing this, and I want to get your take on it, ladies. it's not a matter of if it happens and how big it goes. It's only a matter of when and who's on board. Would you agree?
Carla, do you want to chime in?
Sorry, I'm driving.
Oh,
If you have a purpose and a mission, and you're, basically it's attraction, and people are interested in what you're doing. It's not a matter of if; it is a matter of when it's going to happen, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen over time. As people see the value of what your purpose is, what your mission is.
Kimberly, what say you?
so for me, I do feel that. At the same time, I also feel that, again, going back to what was the gal's name again?
Heidi DeMars.
Heidi. Going back to what Heidi was demonstrating during that TED talk, it absolutely is key. But it's also key. There's other components for me, too, when I look at this. There's other components, and those components are comprised of building yourself and rooting yourself and growing yourself so that you can be the beacon, so that you can attract, right? It's not an automatic, right? Because we're here to kind of get to know ourselves at a really deep level, right? And that's why I pointed out the awareness piece that she had said. Her friend, people were sending her messages. Had she not been listening, had she not been in that spot, she wouldn't have been at the level of awareness that she needed to be to hear that message, right? And I think that speaks to us developing ourselves on the daily. And it doesn't have to be anything extravagant, right? It just has to be something very simple to move the needle forward in developing a strong sense of self. So, yes, I do agree with it, but I also agree that there's many different dimensions to it. It's not an automatic, right? It's not an automatic. It's building and continuing to grow as an individual so that you can be the beacon for your purpose.
Exactly, and I love that. Hello, James. How you doing this afternoon, sir?
I'm doing good, Chris. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. What we're talking about today is a great video that was done by Heidi DeMars, and I'll put it into the chat, and hopefully you've taken some time today to look at it. If not, no big deal. You can always watch it later.
All
But
right.
what we're talking about today is about DIY communities that's done in a community building setting with leading with authenticity, heart, and hustle. But when you hear of that, James, what comes up and shows up for you?
Okay. The first thing that shows up to me, Chris, and this is something that I live by. Elders come first. They come before anybody else comes. There is no rhyme, reason, way, shape, or form that will ever change. Because if you don't put your elders first, then that shows that your compassion is it's not there, you know. And when you take into perspective the value of bringing forward your inner child, and you say, okay, I'm not going to tolerate being small all the time. I'm not going to tolerate being the low man on the totem pole. I want to be at a level where I can be at the place I need to be instead of being at the top of the podium or at the bottom of the totem pole. It's where you see yourself amongst the pole called life. And community plays a huge part into that, because community is a reflection of yourself. It's a reflection of who you are, where you've been, what you're doing, and how you hope to achieve it. You know, and it's like you've said, Chris, life happens for us, not to us.
So
And
when you take it in that context of the kind of DIY kind of community building that's led with authenticity and led with heart and led with hustle, when we see a need into something, James, how do we not only approach that need but do it in a way that's probably unconventional? Because see, like in the very video from Heidi DeMars, what she did is she put tomato plants all around the city in strategic areas, and it said just, and I'm just going to paraphrase it here. It just said even on the pickle bucket, it said, "Nurture me, feed me, water me, pick me when I'm ready." Now, when you hear something like that, and like I said, go back to the video, it's already in the chat room. I would highly encourage you to watch it. But when you hear something like that, that people are willing to do that to let people know what the community is doing, how's that show up and look like to you when you see a need in a community? How would you approach that in that very same way?
well, I would approach it like this. Not only would I plant the tomato, but I would plant corn. And when you plant the seed of community in a DIY aspect, okay, you are laying the foundation of humanity. You are laying down the aspects that you see, and you are teaching others what you see. It's not about how much you see or how much you learn, it's how much you teach people. Teach people, and they can teach you. So, teachers teach teachers.
Well, it goes right back to what I truly believe it is foundationally changed my life like you never know. I'll call, for me, it comes up to me in this. It's about Star Wars.
Yeah.
A master and an apprentice are interconnected. That master knows a lot more than their apprentice does. But I also recognize this, though, James. The master can learn from their apprentice just as much as the apprentice can learn from the master. They're interconnected because, see, what if we don't have all the answers, even from a master's perspective? And even from when it comes to a apprentice's perspective, do we even know all the questions to ask of that very master? Maybe the master actually has more questions for us than we do of them and everything. And I truly believe in that. So within this conversation that we're having right now, this also showed up for me, and I want to bring to the table about momentum, because I believe we can have momentum in our lives in and of itself. So I will bring up this great video that was done many years ago, and it's done from my great friend Rob House, because I was actually in a group with him, and they were talking about the 30-day challenge and everything like that. And so what we were doing is 30 days of videos. So what we did with that is we posted every single day of the month. We did 30 days of videos, but something showed up to Rob in this video that he didn't quite see before when it comes to momentum. So he wanted to speak about it. So I will let Rob kind of show you about momentum. And like I said, this is what came up for me as we were talking. And I was like, we got to speak about this too as well. So here's Rob House about momentum.
Videos! What's up, good people? I'm telling you, the internet is amazing. If you are in the right algorithm of people, oh my goodness, you never know what the heck you might learn and see. So Daryl Frater posted this thing in regards to momentum and the domino effect. If you've never seen the domino presentation, it's phenomenal. So Chris Berryman reposted it in our content league group, Daryl Frater's post, and wow. I mean, you know how you have those aha moments? So I've seen this video before, but today it really resonated with me. And I'm going to show you this video. It's amazing how one tiny little domino about that big winds up amplifying its momentum by 2 billion and knocking over 100-pound domino. It's unbelievable. Watch this.
So what I have here is a chain of dominoes. Each one is 1.5 times larger than the previous one. And the smallest domino is about 5 millimeters high and 1 millimeter thick. And I will carefully place it. And there are 13 dominoes. And the largest domino, it weighs about 100 pounds and is more than 1 meter tall. Ready? Ooh. That was 13 dominoes. If I had 29 dominoes, the last domino would be as tall as the Empire State Building.
Now that's a boom. Now, of course, everything physically about that is fascinating. It's amazing. But what's more fascinating is that this is exactly the way human nature works. And so anything you're trying to do, it needs momentum. And most of us, we have a little start and we're wondering why we don't have the big push. But you don't realize it's momentum, it's consistent. So every domino hit another domino that was larger than it. Now, every domino that much larger than the domino before it. That's how life happens. You don't grow, 3 feet one day and then you're 6 feet the next day. It happens gradually. It's the law of incremental growth. But the point is this: once you realize that there is a process of momentum that happens, then you get more aware of it, and then you become more a part of it. And this is how life accelerates. So whether you're building a business or you're building momentum for your relationship and your marriage, it starts with the effort every day, consistently. And that effort over time grows gradually, and that effort over time magnifies from here to there. Pretty good, guys. Pretty good. So keep it up. Just keep it up. Micro to macro. Small to big. There's steps to everything. You will evolve.
Now, is that not a great video about momentum or what? But I love that. So I'll go to you, Kimberly. What showed up for you in that video?
Consistency over time. It was interesting because I was in a room this morning and it was, what was the best advice you've ever gotten and applied? And for me, it is consistency over time. It is about showing up. It is about showing up. And over time, when you are showing up, the dominoes are a nice analogy to that. I'm just a little deeper, so I like to take it, in a little bit different direction. But very important when we're talking about momentum.
Carla, what's your take on momentum?
I think I've seen that video before. I couldn't watch it because I was driving, but it starts with something simple. It starts with taking action, and like Kimberly said, it's consistent action over time, and making mistakes and correcting them, and making each thing you do better and better, and over time you create momentum.
Yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely. James, what's your take on momentum?
Well, momentum is making sure that you have assertiveness to not only take control of a situation that you are in, but allow others to grow from your ability to see beyond the realm, if you will.
Mm.
You know? And momentum starts with realizing that we are the captains of our own ship. We are the creators of our own movie. And a movie can't be written without a director. So, in essence, we are the directors of our own movie. And, you know, when you look at momentum, it's like spinning a wheel. If you were to spin that wheel and then all of a sudden you realized it was a square wheel, you wouldn't get very far. But if you found a way to round out that wheel so that it's a circle, you're going to go far. You're going to go far and you're going to go fast. But then again, it's not about how fast you go. Life is not a sprint. It's a marathon. It's the way you get from where you are to where you're going to where you will be. So that's my take on it.
Well, when I look at momentum, and like Rob had Howe said in the video, it's like people don't understand. It's like they know they have this little spark, but they don't understand why they don't have the big push. That's when the consistency part comes into play. But I also recognize this too as well. It's if I am consistent with that spark that I do each and every single day, it's not a matter of if that spark gets bigger. It's only a matter of when and how long that I actually do it. And then I truly believe in this. Like I said, when I had that hope and faith come knock on my door, I was willing to answer that call, even when it comes to momentum, because I know it's not a matter of if it happens. It's only a matter of when. Now, I can only be responsible for how much I put into it, and that comes from me and me alone. Now, it doesn't come from James. It doesn't come from Carla. It doesn't come from Kimberly. It doesn't even come from anyone else. It comes from me. But what I can do, though, is allow everyone else to see what I see and what I believe in and what I stand for and what I truly believe what we can do, even from a community-driven dynamic and dichotomy, to where we do see that need. I'm willing to say, hey, this is what I'm going to put my gifts into and for. And all I ask is you do that very same, that when we put these tomato plants across the whole city, people end up asking just out of the blue, I'm seeing you with this pickle bucket with this tomato plant in it, and also you have another pickle bucket with corn in it. What are you doing? Because people will tend to talk. And I truly believe once that is there, that's how the momentum starts to build up. Because like in the video of Heidi DeMars, news outlets picked up what was going on, and they said they wanted to even interview her and say, what are you doing? And everything like that. And I believe that is all there. So, oh, George, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. Marty McFly. Yes, that comes from Back to the Future. Yes, I love that movie. That is so true. It's just like what my mom said to me so many years ago. Chris, if you don't mind, it doesn't matter because it's only mine ever matter. And I truly believe in that. So, since we're talking about DIY communities and momentum, how does that interconnected? How does that show up to you when you see that, Kimberly? Is how can we build out communities from a DIY perspective with the kind of dichotomy and awareness of that momentum that we need? How do we bring that together?
For me, it just means grassroots, and that's exactly what Heidi did. It was grassroots. And I think you could apply that same principle to what's happening here and bringing humanity together. There's some exciting things that are going to be coming along here. There are exciting things. These conversations are momentum. These conversations are absolute momentum. But for me, it's just grassroots, and it's not only what we're doing to bringing humanity together, because each and every one of us, even if you were to take the 4 squares, each and every one of us has a purpose. And then within that purpose, we're also bringing those skills and the expertise into bringing humanity together, right? So to me, it's even larger than that. And that's why I said when I initially listened to that video, it screamed collaboration, because there's many different layers to what collaboration looks like. And so for me, when I'm applying it to bringing humanity together, it is each and every one of us that are coming and attracted to this mission already have our own individual purposes that include skills and expertise that we're bringing to the mix. And that's even making the mission for bringing humanity together even bigger.
What's your take on that, Carla, about building out a DIY community plus momentum? How does that show up to you?
Well, the momentum starts with the first step that leads to the second, the third, and bringing ideas to the table and saying, how can we make it better? And the thing that I see a lot of times, people have these great plans on what they want to do, and they go gung-ho for a while, and they have such unrealistic expectations on the outcome that they give up before it's even, they might be 2 steps away from successfully completing the project, but because they're so short-minded and wanting results now, if they don't get the results that they want, even though it's not necessarily realistic, they just give up. And things stop.
Right.
I think, Carla, you bring up a good point, especially when we're looking at small business, because I don't know if it's 95% now of small businesses fail. And it's not because there wasn't any heart to begin with. It's just that I feel like it's more along the lines that people really, don't look at aspects like time management or, really cultivating. That's why I really believe in cultivating the self, like building up a solid foundation for the self, because during those storms that we experience, and we are going to experience storms, we are going to get knocked down, and that's okay. But you're absolutely right, Carla, when you bring that up. A lot of times, and again, speaking specifically about businesses, even you could apply that to a nonprofit, a 501c3, that is a business, right?
Right.
The reason why those begin is because there's so much heart behind it, so much heart. But what we learn as we go through the process is it's just not about a business. It's just not about the heart. It's about really growing yourself strong. And we really want to, or at least, in what I'm doing to bring humanity together. We really want those lights to continue to shine brightly. And so I'm really, really passionate about that. But you bring up such good points, Carla.
Well, a lot of people will say, well, I'll give it a year, and if it doesn't do anything, then I'm gonna, fold. And it's like, well, you already gave yourself a deadline that's not very realistic, and you already gave yourself an exit, the okay to exit. And when you have your own business, nobody's gonna do it for you. You have to do it yourself. And no one's going to tell you that you have to go to work and you have to show up. That's where the personal development comes into play. That you've got to work on your personal development at the same time that you're growing your business. Because it would be easy for me to get up out of bed and sit and watch Home and Garden TV all day. But that doesn't move the needle of my business forward. That doesn't get me where I want to be. That doesn't give me momentum. It would be easy to go, oh, I never had the time to reach out to people today or whatever. No, I didn't make the time to do it.
Right.
So you have to have a lot of self-discipline if you're going to start your own business, because no one's going to do it for you.
Yep, you're absolutely right. But then again, you just don't take stock or even see when an opportunity does. It's just like what Jan Barlow, who's part of our community too as well, she's all about unexpected opportunities. You just don't know until you actually see it and see it for a period in time in that now moment that I do see this opportunity that's being presented to me. Now, granted, you may not know all the details. You may not know the ins and outs to it. You may not even know anything really in and of itself. But I'll go back again to what Sir Richard Branson said so many years ago, and it's so poignant and still relevant to this very day. If someone offers you an amazing opportunity, you're not sure how to do it, say yes and learn how to do it later. Now, be mindful of that when that opportunity shows up, the best question to ask is, can I do it? Should I do it? I can understand that. The better question is that you should ask to yourself is, why should I do this? Why should I do this? And then that next question one becomes, well, how do I do this? And then once you understand the how, that comes from your why. Because, see, I truly believe the better question to ask overall in every aspect of our lives is not what you do, is who are you? And then once you answer that,
it should be one and the same.
Well, they are. But think about it, Carla. Once you answer that for yourself and then others see that from you, the natural byproduct effect, ladies, is the growth potential, the thriving potential, the collaboration potential, the growth potential. All that will be there because you both recognize why you are here. It's like what Kimberly says all the time: for purpose, on purpose. And everybody has a purpose.
Yes.
But sometimes we don't even understand it. Maybe it takes a fresh set of eyes and a fresh set of ears to say, hey, you do have a purpose, and here is your purpose because I see this in you. Just like in the video, Heidi was told by one of her friends, if no one else is going to do it, you can do it.
Well, that's interesting, Chris, because I think what her friend, or what I heard anyway, is if there's anyone that can do it, you can do it. And I think that when we're thinking about our purpose, oftentimes we think we're going to look up and somehow somebody's going to drop a fortune down and it's going to have our purpose on it. But it really is so much so much different. Or we think we're going to like look here or look behind the tree or look, in our backyard and we're going to find it. No, it's inside of us. And if we're developing ourselves and we're listening, that's really important. The other thing that came up while you were talking, Chris, was when Heidi mentioned trusting yourself. That was her first point. Trust yourself. Yeah. And she also brought up Rosa Parks and using the strength of your ancestors. So if there's anyone that's listening right now, and, Carla brought up some great points about, not having the stamina, not having the wherewithal to keep going. Watch this video today, go back to the video and listen to what Heidi tells us when she refers to Rosa Parks. You have not only, if you are living in your purpose, you don't just have to depend on yourself. You have a community and you also have the strength of your ancestors. That is huge. That is huge. And for me, I know that I'm living in my purpose. I look at the picture of my ancestors all the time, and they're counting on me. They're counting on me. So even on the days where the flames are burning low and you're thinking, oh my goodness, the phone will ring. A message comes across the desk. You look at the pictures of your ancestors. You do something like meditation or mindfulness. You be a part of a community, like bringing humanity together. And then you see that the flame starts burning again. It goes up higher and higher. You are not alone. You're not meant to be alone. You're meant to be in community. And so live your purpose.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's go to our final thoughts and call to action. And I'll start with you, Miss Carla. What's your final thoughts and your call to action today, ma'am?
Can't comment because I was in a dead zone and it was going in and out. So I apologize.
No worries. So what's your final thoughts and your call to action today, ma'am?
Oh, gosh, is that time already? Know your passion, know your purpose, and realize that you have to set realistic expectations on what you're going to do, and don't give up.
Exactly. I love that. Truly, don't give up. Because if you give up, like you said, when you set that deadline up and you say, I give myself a year, you're already putting yourself in that hole already. So don't do that. And you're absolutely right. Have realistic expectations. Kimberly, what's your final thoughts and your call to action today, ma'am?
I think I already shared mine. I think I already shared it. I really believe in that. I think this was a great conversation today, Chris. And I really, it's about living, it's like building in community. We're community builders. We're not meant to live in a corner of our homes or by ourselves thinking we have to do everything alone. Reach out and also tap into your gifts. Tap into your gifts and lean on the strength of your ancestors because you're called here for a reason.
So not only be living for purpose, on purpose, but know that not only can you do it by yourself, but you're not by yourself.
Right.
I love that. Yes. And my final thoughts and call to action when it comes to DIY community that's done in authenticity and with heart and also with hustle and with also that momentum in tandem. Just show up to it in the best way that you know how you can do it. If you're the fisherman to that community, fish to your heart's content. If that's what you're passion driven to do, fish all night long, all day long. I don't care. Fish until there's no more fish. Then you maybe have to go find a turkey or pig or two or milk some cows or whatever. But recognize that everyone has a part to play in that very community. There are going to be those farmers that's going to give us the food that we need. There are going to be those builders who will build not only our homes, also build our businesses, but also build the parks and the places that we want to go to take the time out, like those movie theaters, those walks in the park that we have. So there's those parks that can they have a purpose too as well. And also recognize a community is just as strong as everyone else inside it. Because if everyone is rooted in a common purpose, then you can get to that point, and it goes right back to that Julia Dar video that I'm thinking of right now, about having conversations rooted in curiosity. When you do see the other side of a community's point of view, that even that you live, say, on one side of the town, or you don't think that's going to affect them, it just might. You just never know. That is why when you are rooted in a place of putting curiosity over clash, that you are willing to let that be and have that climbing wall that all the community can have a hand in to build upon that with those changing perspectives. And then you can still be rooted in that common purpose for that need of a community that says, hey, this is what we're going to do. You know what? We're going to plant these tomatoes. We're going to plant this corn. We're going to put it in 5-gallon buckets. And there we go. We're going to put them everywhere. And then if our fish guy fishes no more because he's out of fish, then we got to go send them to the cows. We'll go send them wherever. Sometimes we just got to do what we got to do. But then again, it's understanding what you bring to the table within that and letting that be for what it is. It's, again, when hope and faith come knock on your door, are you willing to answer that call? So that's my final thoughts of call to action today, ladies. Thank you, James, for being on here. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, Carla. And if you'd like to know more about bringing humanity together, and of course, if you'd like to come share your story on Conversation for Humanity, we would love for you to do that. And here's the link, and I'll put it in the link of today's show. It will be, like I said, come share your story. Here's the guest scheduling link. We would love for you to share your story on Conversations for Humanity. And we're booked up for a lot of months now. And we have people still coming in left and right. And if you like to be one of those people who like to share their story, we would welcome that. Because I truly believe not only does stories matter, but those stories can stick, that can really maybe even bring that community together. And wouldn't that be a good thing to do? And I truly believe that. So again, we would love for you to be a part of our community here at Bring Humanity Together. And like I said, if you'd like to learn more, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or to Kimberly or to Carla, to James, or to myself. And we would love for you to be a part of what we're building here at Bring Humanity Together. So from all of us here at Bring Humanity Together, have a great day. Make it your day. And we'll see each other tomorrow on Humanity Happy Hour, hosted by none other than our very own Carla Fedigan. So have a great day, everyone.